and welcome to another episode of TV Movie Cast, where I am your host, Dana, an actor's actor, joined by Mr. Wonder Man I. How are you doing, Mr. Sir?
Mr. what?
Mr. Sir.
Oh, Mr. Sir. I think you called me Mr. Sour because we're over here arguing before this episode starts.
Yes, we were arguing. He's so abusive, everyone. Okay, so we are here to talk about the latest Wonder Man trailer that left him completely confused and me in awe. It basically, that's what it is. I was gonna say, hey, what are your thoughts on this? But I'm sure it's like I have more questions than answers. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, you made it very clear that it's very much mutant focused, I guess you could say, mutant prejudices of keeping mutants away from doing this show. I got it more as like it's superhero fatigue. So society is trying just not to make any more superhero media. I didn't get the whole prejudice thing, did not stick in my head. Obviously, there could have been a whole racial connotations to that stuff, but I like now the analogy of like it connecting to like the whole X-Men culture and prejudices and racism and all that. So now that you educated me on that, it makes sense.
It's a doorman policy. I don't get it. But yes, so kind of breaking this down, it took a while. You know, the marketing has been like, hey, we forgot the show existed. Let's market it. Even though you could make the argument that they have been marketing this since July, but it's mainly been online. I wanted to see like bigger things. I feel that Daredevil got a, much bigger thing when it came to marketing. But with this, this looks pretty interesting and it looks fun and it looks like it could be very serious in terms of how it connects to the MCU and what they're doing with Phase 6. So kind of starting off from the very beginning, we are introduced again, we've seen previously, Simon Williams. He is an actor in Los Angeles. And we've seen, images of him as a child watching the original Wonder Man movie. This is a superhero movie, go all the way back to his childhood, that he was absolutely fascinated with this. There is a director of the original Wonder Man movie that is now retired. He has an Oscar nomination, an Oscar win. He's retired, but now it's like, hey, let's reboot this series. And how much money can you get for this? Basically, it is a parody of what Marvel and Disney is doing. We're rebooting everything. There's a sequel to everything. We know that after Phase 6, well, you said this, the Avengers Secret War, we're going to start a soft reboot of all the characters again. So it's Marvel essentially making fun of itself. And one of the big headlines is like, this is superhero fatigue. People don't necessarily want to see a Wonder Man movie because it's a reboot of something that we've already seen. The director, however, is trying to find an approach to make this original and fresh and new. So then enter Simon, who is a struggling actor in Los Angeles, which, as we discussed before, we can think of Belle of the West Coast Avengers. We do know that Kamala Khan was originally in Los Angeles, I believe, in episode 4. Of her series. No, of Daredevil. Sorry. She was in episode 4. She was in Los Angeles in episode 4.
It was the dad, wasn't it?
Yeah. Remember the dad was working in the bank and it was all about to do with that jewel. It was like the really bad episode that I really thought was the original direction of Daredevil before they rebooted it and said no.
Yeah.
So anyway, he is as I stated, huge fan of Wonder Man. He's going in to audition. Here's a slight problem with this. And I think this is how Trevor, which we've seen Trevor, who was originally the fake Mandarin.
Mandarin.
Mandarin. I went like Mandarin. I thought of the orange. I'm like, what? Yes, the Mandalorian. He was the fake Mandarin in both the Iron Man 2 movie.
3.
Iron Man 3. and also previously in Shang-Chi, where he was finally able to just, reveal to the world he's just himself. He's just a regular actor that was hired by Shang-Chi's dad to pretend to be him. It was a while ago. We all have ADHD. Anyway, he himself, played by Ben Kingsley, is auditioning for the same role as Wonder Man. Obviously, he is much older. The real Ben Kingsley, I believe, is like 81 years old. But yeah, so he's playing more like a mentor, acting coach, as you would say. And as we've seen in the trailer, he's trying to teach him everything that he knows in regards to acting and preparing for a role, which I thought was really cute. And of course, they go in and they meet the director, who is a little, how would you explain it? Someone who is not high strung, quirky, whimsical,
eccentric,
perhaps. Eccentric. He is the same guy who was the president of Bolivia in Superman. And
oh, that was
also
him. I did not catch that.
That was him. He got thrown out that window and fell into a portal of the MCU. So obviously everything seems to be fine except for this. People with superpowers are banned from auditioning. It seems like they may be banned from acting. There's this doorman policy where you have to sign a waiver stating that you're not a superhero or have superpowers. He's not a superhero. He's superpowers. And we know that there's a little problem here because he's starting to exhibit superpowers. We do not know the origin of it. We do know in the comics it was originally by Baron Zemo gave him powers. We do not know if he was born with powers, but we do seem to have a clue that anytime he gets really stressed, they emerge. We've seen this here. And of course, that's completely different, but they emerge.
Typical
basically. Typical Thanksgiving, nice little destruction. Doesn't hurt anybody. And so, with that being said, there is this law, and there is also an enforcer of the law who tracks down anybody with superpowers. And he basically states to Trevor that he is an extraordinarily powerful superpowers. And we do know that we've seen little snippets with his eyes that turn red. So we see the eyes that turn red. There's an instance where his fist starts to move. And we also see a scream that seems to reverberate through where he's going and maybe creating more destruction. So we definitely know there's some kind of strength in there. And Trevor does say at the very end, you have super speed, which we do know is something that the Wonder Man in the comic books does have. So what are your thoughts on this trailer? And then we'll talk about how it could possibly open up to phase 6, which is the X-Men, and what they're going to do with that, and mutant powers, and also probably Daredevil.
Yeah, it's more grounded, so I'm sure they can introduce Daredevil and those other TV shows and stuff all together. The trailer itself, I feel like it just gives us a little bit more tidbits of what's going on, which I like. I'm actually very curious on the whole perspective of acting or the acting world, I should say. And I want to know how much of it is going to be a parody and how much of it is going to be like real or real life, or how it actually works and stuff. Just because I feel like you have to be careful with a TV show like this. That I guess is just like the reason why people are having superhero fatigue, is just like everything kind of feels the same. So this has to feel different in some way. And I think focusing on the acting world and him going through these prejudices because of his powers and everything might be a nice new dynamic, as long as they do it right. And I think with the way that they've been marketing this, I feel like they don't have that much confidence in that. So I don't know. The trailers got me a little bit more excited than the previous ones, because the previous ones have been very vague, and now we finally get to see a little bit more of the powers, a little bit more of his world, his acting world, and stuff like that. So this is a huge difference between the last trailers.
I'm slightly excited to see, they'll show, it seems to, at least the previous trailer alluded to how the acting world works in Hollywood. We do know that Disney basically owns everything, including FX. And if you were to look at the previous trailer, they did feature American Horror Story. And so he does, Simon does go on this various different auditions that obviously he doesn't get cast for. So I'm wondering if they're all going to be like for DC property. And of course, I would love to see, like, because Peter Evans, or is it Evan Peters or Peter Evans? I think it's Evan Peters. He does have that crossover. He was also Ralph Boner. as well.
Worst plot twist ever.
Worst plot twist ever. So he gets 3 things going for him. He is American Horror Story, Ralph Boner, and of course the character that he played in X-Men. So it'd be nice to see him like just drop by, Ralph Boner auditioning for like American Horror Story. It's an inside joke that could work. But I do find this to be very interesting. And the most interesting aspect is the fact that superpowers, people with superpowers are not allowed to audition, and it's stated that this is now a new rule that is went into effect. My brain automatically thought of Daredevil, and I say that because remember at the very end, Wilson Fisk is completely disgusted by vigilantes and superheroes. He basically bans them. I know it's in New York City, which is
not
on the
Hollywood?
other side.
Really?
So this is what I'm thinking. I'm starting to wonder if one law takes effect in one state, and then the residents are like, yeah, we like that. So that's how it could spread. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how the ban spread. And it reminds me of being on a register list, which we are all familiar with when it comes to X-Men. So you see my connection?
Okay.
Yeah? He's like, no. So yeah, because remember, there's a
I have a bit of a question for you. Maybe this is something that went over my head too, but is he being considered to be casted as Wonder Man by this guy specifically because he's black? Is this more of just like, because this is exactly what Hollywood does, and a lot of fans of like the original source of anything you might want to talk about, they get angry of race swapping. So is this like a little play on the race swap of a character to kind of make things fresh and new for another demographic?
I have never thought of that in my life. I just thought it was an open casting call because it has a certain requirements that are looking for, but it never stated race. So I just feel like it was an open casting call, and because you also have Trevor who's auditioning, and that's a white man. Well, is he Egyptian? I don't remember the actual origin of Ben Kingsley, but the point is he's not black.
Yeah.
So I do feel like this is just an open audition to see who's actually good.
Okay, which is 100% fair, but I was just curious about that because you had mentioned before that this director is taking an interest in Simon for some reason, and I was wondering if it was because he was black. So I thought that was the director's focus.
So you're like all DEI. So you're like, see,
I mean, I don't care either way. I'm very indifferent about it all, but it's definitely something to bring up. And I would find it honestly interesting because it's almost like a tongue-in-cheek type of way of just making fun of those people who complain about race swapping, when most of the time race swaps don't affect the character unless race is actually, a standout personality trait or an important thing of that character. For example, like Magneto, people say that he has to be Jewish, so he has to be a white man, which is not true. He could be a black man with a different types of struggles, and you could still make that character perfectly fine. Whereas, like, I
Yes.
don't know, Black Panther, for example, you can't make him white because of the
Yes.
culture and the struggles that he goes through in different ways.
That is entirely true. I wonder if they're going to touch upon that, because then that would basically be, addressing the critics head on
Yeah.
about Wonder Man specifically being black, and then
Which would be
having that
good.
monologue
That's
of
fresh. That's new. That's controversial.
it.
I think that should be something worth doing.
It would be. Oh my. Now I'm kind of thinking of, remember when they kind of touched upon that in Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter Soldier, when they touched it upon race, and man just wanted a loan and couldn't get a loan from the bank.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So that would be, and the critics would be so upset. People would be angry. But yeah, that would actually be really smart. But see, my whole thing was, I took it as being a symbolism. Well, no, that would be the powers. The superpowers, I just took more of being a symbolism of, X-Men, and because you're different. Even though my brain was like, wouldn't it be better if he had superpowers? Because the movie is about superpowers, and that saves a lot when it comes to budgeting and production. That was just me. But yeah, that would be a really interesting approach if they did take it. So I also wanted to know, kind of, even though we didn't get a full explanation of the powers, what were your thoughts on what we did see? Because we had some of this. And then we also had a little bit of table work.
Right.
And big old holes in the sky. So I'm kind of wondering, is he able to fly? What's going on here?
I mean, he could have just thrown something up or punched something down. Who knows? But or jump really high, kind of like Hulk doesn't fly, but he damn near pretty much almost does because of the way he jumps. So who knows? I think they did. I still think they did a poor job of portraying his powers here, because for what we have seen. Well, yes, exactly. But the reason why I say it's a poor job is because we're not seeing anything unique that we haven't seen before from something like Luke Cage or Jessica Jones or some of them. Like, they look like they just have the basic super strength that we've seen so far, and him getting angry. So I'm curious of, like, when you showed the clip of him screaming, like, does he have like supersonic type of like a thing? Like, is that gonna be one of his things? That's kind of cool. We haven't really seen that much, aside from Black Bolt, which they kind of destroyed that character for all those Inhuman fans. So I still think they should have portrayed it a little bit more. But we got what we got.
Yeah. I kind of, unless you were going to go with marketing of the show itself, it wasn't really well marketed. I'm kind of wondering, is the mystery going to hurt Wonder Man? I think people will get on board eventually. Obviously, there's that crowd who's like, oh, look, it's the But I think that people will get on board eventually. The fact that it is, and that is another argument into itself, is that it's binging. You can binge all of the episodes at once. Will, of course, create a faster spread of word of how good it is. But of course, the conversation will die down quickly, because I just feel like they're just wanting to forget this and let's go into Doomsday.
Yeah,
but whatever.
Right.
Even though that doesn't release into December. Oh my gosh. See, the more I think about it, the more angry I get.
Well, I mean, they're going to focus more on either Vision Quest, that's supposed to come out this summer, or Spider-Man, which is supposed to come out in the summer also.
I saw Vision. I saw the trailer for Vision Quest, and you could be like, oh, that's because you're a girl. I cried, man. It was just so beautiful and emotional.
Okay,
where it's like, and it goes, okay, so I quit. Ladies and gentlemen, I quit. I will no longer critique anything anymore. That is like, that was like a slur you hurled at me, sir.
That's a social media slur.
That's a social media slur. I would go complain at the Equal Opportunity Department, but that no longer exists anymore.
Richard, that's it.
Yeah.
Hi, Richard.
God.
Oh shoot.
Wow.
But no, it's fair though. No, I make fun
Yes.
of you, but it's fair though, because certain characters through the MCU were attached with it. I can get teared up sometimes with certain things. Like I haven't gotten teared up with we talked about the previous the new Doomsday the leaks,
Yeah.
the trailers. We talked about those if
The
anyone wants to look
leaks.
that up. But the only part that I had gotten emotional with was Cyclops shooting that giant beam, because that's an iconic look, and we got his iconic costume finally, and I was just like, oh, finally they're gonna do him justice. But the rest of the trailers I didn't really feel much for it, but I get it. You were saying about Vision Quest getting emotional.
Yeah, go. You know, after you made fun of me, I'm not emotional anymore. But kind of going on with the theme. Remember how we was talking about is like all of these fathers are being involved. Vision Quest and his son, his sons, his family, and I really, I can't wait for. I could do a whole description about it because I actually legally saw it, so I could do a description about it. But the point is, it does involve, you know, family and fatherhood, which we do know is like a big theme when it comes to the Avengers right now. And so that could be something really strong and really powerful. See, this is why probably they waited into December. But even though I'm still arguing, this should have been Father's Day.
For Doomsday?
But yeah, for Doomsday, because you're gonna have a story involving fathers. Father's Day, what was it? The Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, which spelled out mom, was on Mother's Day.
Mother's Day, yeah.
So, like, come on, show love to some fathers. Not everyone's father left. Okay, they got the milk and came right back home. Anyway, this has gone off the rails. Were there any final thoughts? Completely off the rails. And now I'm kind of wondering, you know, if this ban is true and it spreads across the United States. We don't know where his powers come from, but it would make more sense that he is a mutant in this series as opposed to being given powers by Zemo through an experiment.
It would definitely be beneficial for them to finally start introducing more mutants. So this is a great way of doing it. Keep in mind that mutants aren't born mutants. The X gene is activated at certain points in their lives, specifically, usually when they go through puberty. So he's, you know, maybe we'll get an origin story of when that activates and he gets those powers, and we'll see his struggles on that.
And we do know that it involves family because his father is not his father, his brother. Even though he was not, I don't know who these people are in this kitchen. You can make the argument. There's like some people in the background that could be his brother. We do know that there was a woman that was very quickly featured. But I'm kind of wondering also how the family come into play, because we do know that his brother was not so nice in the comics. The whole thing was just not so nice involving the family dynamics.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to get an exact replica of the comic books, but I'm just kind of wondering how the family dynamic could play off. But overall, this seems to be, I'm excited for it. I want to know what the little fists do. So, is there any kind of thoughts or any other thing that you wanted to bring up involving this trailer?
No, just to everybody to give it a chance. It has potential. Don't just worry about the market and everything. Make your own conclusions on it and give it a chance, just like any other MCU show.
That is true, but who knows? It could actually be a secret gem of a show that dropped all at once. I'm so upset about that. Even Spider-Man, the animated series, got like a weekly release.
Ironheart was weekly too, even though that was poor marketing also.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm so upset. Well, that is everything that we have to say about that. Mr. Sniffleupagus over there. Is there anything else that you would like to say?
That's it. Watch the show.
All right. Watch the show. Pray for Danny's dysentery. And we will be back with something else. You know, there are a bunch of movies that are released coming out next year. Oh my God, this year. I forgot we're already in this year.
This is what? This is the second, January 2nd.
This is the second day of the year. So yeah, so we have stuff coming out like literally in days and in weeks along with the show. So that has been everything we have to say. I have been an actor's actor. Welcome to the Actors Studio, joined by Mr. I Wonder Man.